Hello and welcome back to my Halloween Takeover toy box. Right now we are working on the pristine version of our miniature Disneyland park, and last time we placed most of the terrain and we started building Main Street USA. And today I want to add the rest of the buildings, and then if we have any time left I will also add all of the plants and decorations. And if we don't have time, then I'll do that offline before the next episode, and I will show you the final result next time. Before we begin, a few more things I want to do. I forgot to put down a couple of pieces of terrain back here. So I want to make sure I take care of that. That's where Splash Mountain is going to sit. And another thing I want to do is move the start pad out of the way. So we're going to pick that up and we're going to bring it straight back and drop it right here. And then the last little thing I want to do is tweak the sidewalk here because it's out a little ways from that door. So I think if we place something in there like that, and I'm thinking we should do the same for this one as well. This one I'm not really worried about. And the ones over here I'm not really worried about either. The other problem with these is they're right on the seam for the sidewalk, so it's hard to put those in. But I like it a little bit better over here. Okay, that's it for Main Street USA. And I think next let's start with Tomorrowland. And let me pull up my screen grabs here so I make sure I get these right. Okay, we're going to go down or up to building sets, group 2. And here we find the Tomorrowland buildings. And if you don't have these, you could use any futuristic buildings really. Doesn't really matter. And you can use these, or you can use these. I think I'd rather use these. We're going to come right up to the edge of the terrain seam. Put those right over there on the edge. This is basically one terrain cube or one square block away from the edge of the road. That's the spacing that I'm using there. And then we'll pick this building up. And again, I'm not worried too much right now about replayers. Eventually we will take all of these out with a replayer. Right now we're just capturing the look and feel of how this is going to be. And remember, we are going to take these out with a replayer when the park transforms. So we can't put down a lot of pieces here in any specific area. The replayers have limited resources, and we have an entire park to transform. And that means we can't build anything elaborate in any area. We need to be very selective and put down just a few strategic pieces that would make the player recognize this area as Tomorrowland. And if you don't have these Tomorrowland buildings, you can use any futuristic buildings. You can use the ones up in building sets group 5 from the Twilight of the Republic playset. And I'm actually going to use one of these. Rex's Diner. We're going to put this up here on the end of the road to kind of cover up the fact that we're having a road that's ending. And again, notice the terrain pattern. If you're not quite sure exactly where to place that, notice the pattern on the terrain below it, and that will give you a good indicator of what to follow for where to place that. but it's centered on the road, about 2 terrain cubes back from the edge, roughly. And again, you have all kinds of futuristic buildings here you could use for your Tomorrowland if you don't have the Tomorrowland buildings, or if you don't like the pieces I've chosen. Now, under set pieces, we have Space Mountain. This is kind of non-negotiable. You gotta have Space Mountain to recognize this area as Space Mountain. We're going to bring this all the way up to the edge of those buildings. And I'm actually going to slide this to the left just a little bit, just to make sure any plants that we put down over here along the right edge of this is not going to collide with this bounding box. And we can even bring this out a little bit further to the edge of that terrain. See, this way any plants that we place along here later, I don't have to worry about hitting that bounding box and causing any issues. Alright, so that's so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces we've put down. I'm going to put down one more over here, just because we need a little something here. Again, don't go crazy. It's real easy to do when you're building, to want to put in more than you really have to. Because you look at this by itself and it's like, this isn't enough. But remember, we're going to put down some plants and things too. So again, we don't need to go crazy here. And I think I'm going to put this right there, with that front post kind of sitting right on the infinity logo there, as close as I can get it. And that's kind of important because we want to make sure this bounding box is out of the way of any plants that we're going to put down later. Alright, so that is everything we're going to put down building-wise for Tomorrowland. Over here, the only thing we're going to put down here as for a building is the Matterhorn. And again, the spacing is going to be kind of important here. So let me pull up my screen grab to make sure I get this right. Okay. So what I want to do is come down to basic blocks. We're going to put one right up here on the edge of the terrain and back it to the left one nudge. Okay. So it's about half a terrain block there in width. And then we're going to place another one right there. And on this side, we're going to put one of those and a square block. And then the Matterhorn is going to sit right up against those two. So right up against that block, right up against that cube. Just like that. And you want it with this rail slide up here coming off this direction, and this rail slide down here coming off that direction. And while we're right here, let's go ahead and put that rail slide in, because you want to ride the Matterhorn. I mean, come on. So you got to have a way to get up there. So we're going to put down 1, 2, 3, followed by the left upward curving rail, followed by this rail's spiral, and then the steep bending rail we'll put over here. We need 2 of those to get down to ground level. Okay. right, and then we'll go down to the blocks drawer and build kind of a small little landing here. So we'll center that on there and we'll put a ramp in. And for the ramp, we'll just use this small narrow ramp. We'll frame some things around that before we're done to let the player know that's where they get on the ride. Okay, so that's the Matterhorn and Tomorrowland. Now let's look over at Frontierland. And the big thing here is Thunder Mountain Railroad. Gotta have that. So we're going to put this on this back corner here. Just like that. And then under buildings, if you go to the right, you'll come to the Western buildings. We're going to put some of these in here too. Now these are not they're not something that we can transform per se. They are customizable, but every building has its own theme, so it's not going to help us to be able to theme these, because I don't think we can really change these dynamically and be able to restore this toy box. So what we're going to do is put down some of these. The nice thing though is that all of these buildings will look good in both versions of the toy box, so we don't need to worry about how they look. We can leave them, we don't have to replace them, which means we can put several of these down. I'm trying to find my screen grab here for Frontierland. Sorry about that. I know I've got it here. I took a lot of pictures here to make sure. Here we go. Alright, so actually one more thing I want to do. There we go. Alright, so we want to bring this over to the left. The placement of this is what I was trying to find. Alright, so right there, like that. This is the train station. And the placement of that corner is critical because we have some plant clusters we're going to put in here later. Okay. And then over on this side, I always think I did a better job than I did. It's not the Undertaker. I think I put together good screenshots of where everything needs to be, but then I come in here and it's like, I can't find them. Alright, so this is going to come actually back over about that far. We're going to use these to kind of cover up that terrain seam a little bit. And I think that can be very helpful. And I'm looking at this. There we go. Again, you can look at the terrain. That's what I'm looking at as I'm trying to figure out where to place this. Let's see, it's not that building, is it? Yeah, it is that building. Okay, so that one goes there. And then we have one of these that has the wraparound porch, the saloon. That's going to sit here about like that. And again, I want to swing this around right there. By the way, I'm looking at that corner on the terrain on my screen grab, but I'll give you a good look at that. Okay, and then, is it this one? No. That one. Place this one as close as we can get to it. We can get right up next to it. There we go. So there's our western town. And then for the entrance to this, we will put in the Frontier Fort pieces from Toy Box Takeover. I hate when my mind goes blank. And if you don't have these pieces, then the Ewok pieces in Building Sets Group 1 will work just as well. We don't have to run those all the way down, just enough to give the idea. And again, the nice thing about these pieces is this looks good in both versions of the toy box. So the only thing in Frontierland that we need to take out and replace is Thunder Mountain. Okay. Next we will do the castle. We find that under Building Sets Group 6. So the first thing I want to grab here is the bridge. And we're going to use this castle wall and bridge. And I want to center it on this road piece here, piece of terrain, or piece of road, racetrack. Slide it back, drop it down in the hole. That's going to be our bridge across the moat to get into the castle. Okay, and then we need to find some other wall pieces here. We're just going to use these to cover up the wall. And we'll use the castle ladder wall in here just in case the player falls down into the hole. This will give them a way to climb up out of it. And this is going to hang over the edge on either side just a little bit. There's not really any way around that. Okay, so there is the entrance to get to the castle. Then we need the main entrance for the castle. The front entrance. This is going to sit right here, just like that. Then we'll pick that piece up, put it back, and we'll use that on either side of the front of the castle. And then we need a corner piece, and we have two choices. We can use this one, or we can use this one, and I kind of like the one that's lit up a little bit there in the tower windows. And then along the sides, we have a couple of choices here for towers that we might use. We have this one, but that's very similar to what we already have, so I kind of want to use something a little different here. We have this one, and we have this one. And I'm going to use this guy, I think. I like this one best, but you can use either one you like. I think they're all the same size. Before we put the corner on, let's go ahead and put these on the other side and mirror what we've got over there. Okay. We'll put the ladders on either side to get up to the top. And then we have the castle wall overhang, and this is how the player is going to be able to get out of the castle when they come through the front entrance. And now we'll fill in the floor. And by picking the pieces that I did, you can see I can fill in this whole area with this one piece, which means I don't have to load either of those. And that saves me a little bit of memory, which is helpful. Okay. Now for the main building. And placing this can be a little bit tricky here. I'm counting spaces, so if we look at the squares from the front edge of the wall, we have 2 squares on the wall, then we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm currently at 6. I need to be at 7, so we got to back this up 1. And again, these are the squares I'm counting, or these stones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's where that gets placed. And then we place this up here on the top, about like that. I think we need to put the other piece in first. Let's move that over. Because this has a pretty big bounding box. Alright, so that's going to sit like that. We need to leave just a little bit of a ledge on the back to get to that rope climb. Now we can slide that over. We don't have a collision problem. And this piece is going to sit right there. And this piece is going to sit up here on top of that. And then we'll put a few more towers around the perimeter. Let's see, I want the lighted windows out. And this will sit right there, actually. Over just a bit. Okay. We'll put one of these over here. And another one of these back here. We'll do 4 from the back, 4 little blocks from the back. We'll back that up just a little bit. And I think I like the lighted windows there on the front. Okay, so there's our castle. And that looks pretty iconic. All right, the last little area that we've got is back here in Fantasyland. Probably the big thing here is Splash Mountain, so let's put that down next. Kind of want to line that up with this terrain piece in the front there that's highlighted. Make sure we're on the back edge of the terrain. Drop it down. The lighthouse will sit over here. And we want to, yep, that's the right orientation. We're going to bring this out just a little bit and set it down right like that. That way the front edge of that covers up a little bit of that terrain seam. And then we have Rapunzel's tower in here somewhere. Oh, we also have the sword and the stone. I want to place that right here on this corner. And I'm not sure which way is the front. I think that's the front. I don't think it necessarily matters, but I think that's the front. Rapunzel's Tower is another iconic landmark here in Fantasyland. We're going to put this right here. Back it up just a little bit. Oh, nope, I had it in the right spot. And then we're going to put down a couple of Fantasyland buildings from Building Sets Group 4. Oh, by the way, I wanted to put some of these down over here. Like that. And for this, let's use the stone base. Now these buildings, again, I'm not going to be able to have enough replayer memory to take these out. So we can't go crazy with these. The nice thing, again, with these is that they do fit the theme for the Fantasyland here. So that's nice. This one, yeah. And then for the house next door, again, just to save a little bit of memory, bring this back a little bit. And I believe there is a kind of a front for the building here. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. So we'll put that on the front. And then we'll put this up on the top. Like that. Just a couple of buildings to give the idea. And again, those work well in the Halloween version, so you don't have to worry about replacing those. Part of me would like to, but we're not going to have the replayer memory for that. All right, how are we doing on time? Well, we are almost out of time. But at this point, all of the buildings are in place, and I will go now offline and add all of the plants and decorations. And then next time when I come back, I'll show you what I've done, and we will finish up this version of the toy box. And also next time, we will begin transforming this toy box into the Halloween version. So that should be a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series so far. If so, please give this video a like and leave a comment to let me know what you think of my miniature version of Disneyland. I would love to hear from you. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already so you don't miss the next episode. Have a great day.